This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, September 1. In Squiz Kids Today, super botanists to the rescue. A tale of two tomato incidents. How dolphins set up their mates and the man who paddled a pumpkin. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
As storms threaten to smash every single state of Australia over the next couple of days, and a big old rain front makes its way across the country, botanists in New South Wales are starting to worry that some species of native tree won't survive another wet summer. Okay, let's start with what a botanist is. It's someone who studies plants for a living. It's totally a thing. And why would the prospect of more rain be anything but a good thing for plants? Well, because some plants are used to thriving in relatively dry conditions, including a plant called the native guana and the scrub turpentine, which are native to the north coast of New South Wales. And the problem with another wet summer, thanks very much La Nina, enough already, is that it's another 4 months or so of wet and warm conditions. Which is great for something called myrtle rust, a fungus that grows on plants and kills them, but not so great for plants that prefer dry conditions. Which is why a bunch of super botanists from Sydney's Royal Botanical Gardens have swung into action ahead of the forecast wet summer to look at ways of preserving up to 16 different species of native plants that could be impacted by myrtle rust. Super botanists to the rescue! Now, if only they could come to my rescue. If reports are true that we actually are in for another wet summer, I might just have to move to the Sahara Desert.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in the United States. And also in Spain, where it's been a tale of tomatoes on both sides of the planet. Starting with the United States, traffic backed up for miles on a freeway in California yesterday after a truck carrying tons of tomatoes crashed and spilt its load, making a big red mess on the road and causing a couple of accidents along the way. Meanwhile, in Spain, tomatoes were being spilt on purpose yesterday in the tiny town of Buñol, as the annual Tomatina festival took place. Tomatina is officially a festival celebrating the tomato harvest, which is to say the region grows and exports lots of the delicious fruit, because yes, tomato is a fruit. And they like to celebrate that fact with a special festival each year. This one attracts thousands of people from all over the world because it basically involves the world's biggest food fight. Tons of tomatoes are dumped in the narrow streets and town square of Buñol, and people throw the tomatoes at one another over a 2 or 3 hour period. It is quite a thing to behold, as I know personally, having took part in it many years ago. I've stuck a link to video of both tomato events in today's episode notes.
Biggest, furthest, longest.
This segment celebrates record setters, people or events that set new records, like the man in the United States who last week set a new Guinness World Record after paddling a giant pumpkin down a river. Yes, your ears are not playing tricks on you. I said paddling a giant pumpkin down a river. Dwayne Hansen grew a 384-kilogram pumpkin in his garden, which by any standards is a whopper. Then he hollowed it out and hopped into it, pushed himself off from a jetty on the Missouri River and paddled downstream for 61 kilometres. And you know the one thing nuttier than all of that is the fact that Dwayne broke a previously held Guinness World Record for the same feat, meaning someone else had done it before him. But they only managed a 40-kilometre pumpkin paddle, so, Dwayne did 20 kilometres more pumpkin paddling. Dwayne told local news reporters he'd, and I quote, never been down the river in a pumpkin before, Which, call me crazy, but that sounds like what we might otherwise call stating the bleeding obvious. And yes, of course, I've stuck the video in today's episode notes. Enjoy!
Animal Kingdom.
Just as it is in the human world, so it turns out to be in the dolphin world. New research has revealed that male dolphins form very tight friendship groups and find girlfriends for their buddies when they become teenagers. The study was undertaken by a bunch of scientists who have spent months hanging off boats off the coast of Western Australia, observing the behaviour of pods of dolphins. A pod is the collective noun for a group of dolphins, just like a herd is the collective noun for a bunch of cows. But I digress. Turns out that male dolphins pick best friends from a young age, and later in life, when it comes time to find a girlfriend, they help their buddies out. Isn't that nice? A quick message to all the teachers out there. Squiz Kids is excited to announce we're hiring. If you are, or you know a primary school teacher who'd be a great fit for the Squiz Kids team, who'd love the chance to help us create daily classroom resources and podcasts for our Squiz Kids for Schools program, someone who loves news, writes like a dream, wants flexible hours, meaning you could work in your PJs, alongside a super fun team, we'd love to hear from you. Throw your CV into some semblance of order and send us an email quicksticks at squizschools@thesquiz.com.au. I've stuck the link in today's episode notes.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. In which country is the annual tomato throwing festival held? Yeah, that's right, it's held in Spain. Well done if you got that one. Question number 2. Which animals help their mates find a girlfriend? Yeah, that's right, they're dolphins. Question number 3. In what vegetable did an American man paddle down the Missouri River last week? Yeah, that's right, he paddled down in a pumpkin.
Shout-outs.
It's September 1. Pinch and a punch for the first day of the month. Does anyone do that anymore? It's also Wattle Day around the nation, where landmarks and monuments everywhere are lit up in yellow. And it's a special day, of course, for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Jimmy from Ceres, Henry from Toowoomba, Isla from Coleroy Plateau, Alistair from Balmain, Indigo from Petersham, Layla from Bathurst, Mit from Chiang Mai in Thailand, Young Min from Incheon in South Korea, and Amaya from Kowloon in Hong Kong. What a cosmopolitan birthday shout-out that has been. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 1RS and Mrs. Shapland at Mooloolaba State School, Grade 6 and Mr. Bock at Kidman Park Primary School, Class 3D and Miss Diaz at Holsworthy Public School, Class 6 Red from Reevesby Public School, and the Year 5 students at Blakehurst Public School. Special shout-outs too go to Ms. Hodgson and her Year 5 class at St. Joseph's School in Waroona, and to Ms. McPherson and her Year 4-5 class at Dudley Public School, who both became members of Squiz Kids for Schools, taking up our special Term 4 promo. There's a link to that also in our episode notes. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.